Okay, we're going to call to order the Tuesday, September 9th discussion meeting. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Macro, roll call.
Dr. Anderson.
Here.
Ms. Arendt.
Here.
Mr. Caligiuri.
Here.
Ms. Chudderwitz.
Here.
Mrs. Purcell.
Here.
Dr. Richardson. Purcell.
Here.
Dr. Richardson.
Here.
Mr. Sokolsky.
Here.
Mrs. Stepnick. It does not look like she is logged in yet. Mr. Shopke.
Here.
And Student Representative Ms. Naomi Casey.
Here.
Thank you. The board met in executive session on September 9th, 2025 to discuss matters of litigation, safety, personnel, and real estate. We'll move on to citizens' comments. Ms. Macro.
If anybody in the audience would like to make a comment at this time, we ask that you step to the podium one at a time, state your name, your residency within Plum, and you'll be provided with the board. Please direct all your comments to our presiding officer. I will put a timer on the monitors so that you can manage your own time, but I will also provide you with a 30-second warning when your time is getting close to the end. When you're finished speaking, please step to the clipboard at the end of the table and write your name on the clipboard so that I spell it correctly in the minutes. Is there anybody that would like to speak at this time?
Policies consider on policy 103. This evening we're doing first readings on policies consider on policy 103, discrimination, harassment affecting students, attachments only. Given the fact that there's a lot of things going on in this building, hate related, from harassment to threats to racial intimidation to gender intimidation. I'd like to know what, on top of this policy, who decides what the punishments are? And, is it a board? Is it the principal? Does it go to, I was asked to give a report after a said hearing. In our situation, I left 3 messages for an administrator. So I want some answers on what defines board action, what defines if you get 1 day.
My name is Rob Amon. I live on Heather Court in the Highlands Plan. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Plum Boys Lacrosse Boosters. We still do not have a coach. I have been in communication with the athletic director. I know there have been some interviews allegedly that have taken place over the past week or so, but there is a lot of concern among parents on the team that we will not be adequately prepared for the season. By now, certainly we have had off-season workouts. Usually by this time we're practicing, quote-unquote practicing, at least once or twice a week during the middle of the week. We currently have a time slot on Saturday evenings on the front field here, which is less than ideal for obvious reasons. So we have a tournament coming up the first week in November. We have winter leagues that begin in January. To speak frankly, the lacrosse team is already behind the 8 ball a lot of times. We are not the best team in the WPIAL, but certainly the kids try, the parents care. And we have had, at least I know for a fact, because I and my wife presented a candidate months ago. And to be honest, the parents are very frustrated with the lack of movement on this position. I sat here for a boosters meeting at the beginning of August, and a lot of talk was about football, cheerleading, band. It seems like the focus is on just a small group of teams rather than the whole benefit of the student body. So Just here, like I said, on behalf of the boosters, I obviously have a vested interest because my son plays for the team, but we would really like to see a coach hired in the next couple of weeks, hopefully by the voting meeting later this month. And that's unfair to the kids. That is totally unfair, and frankly, it's just it's unprofessional. So that's all I have to say. I appreciate your attention on the matter.
Thanks, Mr. Raymond.
Any other comments? Okay, Dr. Anderson, back to you.
Thank you. Next up, academic achievement and activities. Myself as lead board liaison. We have letter A, grants and donations awarded. I'd call out first Mrs. Billingsley's donors choose at $400.
A total of $879,186.45. This latest round of donations includes the scoreboards that many of you have seen at the football games and soon to see in our main gym. We are proud of our relationship with the We Are All Mustangs. We are so grateful to the We Are All Mustangs team, and especially Pat McAfee. I know that he shies away from the light whenever he's being acknowledged and praised. It has truly has made the Plum Borough School District a more special place for all. And not only in the district, but in the borough, he's donated close to $1 million also. And we just can't thank him enough, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to continue working with him in the future. Thank you, Dr. Anderson.
Yeah, thank you. If you want to add just a little bit about the East Suburban Sports Stadium scoreboard as the next item.
Okay, sure. So the sports contract for
Thank you. All right, next up, 2526 Northern Westmoreland Career and Technical Center Annual Renewal Agreement. Anything there?
This is just an annual agreement that we have. If you recall, in previous years, we have opened this up because some of our students would like to take welding, and it's offered at this location. Dr. Thomas, is there anything else you would like to add to this? Nope.
No, there's just a handful of students attending that program.
Okay.
And I know we might not know the historical. Have we ever had our students, I know in the contract it says that Westmoreland students get first, right? Have we ever had our students turned away from the program?
Not that I'm aware of.
I don't think there are any questions or comments for August. If not, do we have 5 to move it forward?
Okay. Forbes Road CTC, Ms. Chudderwitz, lead board liaison, nothing on the agenda for tonight. Intergovernmental, we're going to meet later this month. And then on to legislative, Mrs. Stepnick, lead board liaison. And Mrs. Stepnick, before I hand it over to you, you weren't in exec session, but just to add, before I hand it over to you, you weren't in exec session, but just to add, unfortunately, letter B, I'm not able to do that, and we'll move this forward to the voting meeting in 2 weeks. If somebody wants to go, that they can go instead, and if not, then we'll just cancel that appointment. And Ms. Macro has already been in contact with PSBA to see if we can appoint somebody else to the seat that I was supposed to be in. Ms. Stepnick, maybe to appoint you, even though you're there on IU duty as well. We're going to work through that, but we wanted to make sure to have something on the agenda holding that spot. And now, Ms. Stepnick, on to you for the candidate list.
Yes, thank you. And I'll address the conference. It would really be beneficial that we have another board member from Plum attend. I will be able to vote twice. I'm only going to be voting for the AIU. That's for the voting piece of that. Of course, participating as a board member throughout the whole conference, but when I tell anybody to take the opportunity to check it out. As far as the candidates, I would recommend moving Antonio Perez. Does anybody have any questions about them, or are we okay?
One from each section, right?
There's one in each section.
Yeah, I mean, I see we choose, right. Yeah, I mean, I see we choose, right.
We have a candidate, right, there's one from each section, but we have a candidate where there's 2.
Yep, you're saying for the W3 advisor. You're saying for the W3 advisor. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's it, we have 5.
Are we fine with that candidate? Do we have 5 to move that candidate forward? I have 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right, that's all for legislative. Operations, Mrs. Purcell, lead board liaison.
Under Operations, Letter A, 2025 to 2028, huddle ticketing agreement, and Dr. Thomas is going to talk about that.
I can take this one. This is a renewal of an agreement we've had in the past. What we're hearing from our students and from community members is they'd like an option of e-ticketing on their phone. We're still going to have the option of buying tickets, but we're looking at expanding our ability for our students and community members to purchase tickets. And this agreement, I mean, we're in some occasions where people are running down to Nesbitt's to get change or get cash in order to come up to purchase a ticket. They could just do it on their phone. So, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any questions or concerns? And do we have 5 to move that forward?
All right. Thank you, Ms. Purcell. Personnel, Mr. Caligiuri, lead board liaison, will move that forward at the voting meeting. And on to policy, Ms. Aaron.
Good evening. The policies presented for first reading tonight, 1 through 11, reflect the most recent updates from the PSBA and align with the principles for governance and leadership. As a reminder, the policies are drafted to align with state and federal law. Dr. Thomas, was there anything notable that you wanted to add on these?
Ms. Arendt, if we can hold 1 second. Mr. Caligiuri, can you make sure to mute your microphone? Thank you. Go ahead, I'm sorry, Dr. Thomas.
No, nothing to add other than these policies are all recommendations from the PSBA, and you probably made a statement we made a statement in the executive summary that we kept it as tight to the original proposed language from PSBA.
We could take 5 on these. Is that from my microphone?
No, just first read, you don't, just comment.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Caligiuri, sorry for the stray. It was Ms. Arendt's microphone.
We'll move on to letter B. Second reading. We'll take 5 to move those forward. Do we have 5?
Projects and planning, Dr. Richardson and Mrs. Purcell, co-lead board liaisons.
Sure. So first we have A, the middle school fire pump replacement, which we had to move quickly to move that.
Yeah, I'll give a little bit more information on this. So during our annual inspection, the water pressure was not within 5% of the acceptable pressure, which it was an older pump and it's in need of replace. There's been a lot of conversations that have occurred. And I've also have reached out to Jim Sims at the borough, and myself and Mr. Manzer had a conversation with him in regards to not only the fire pump, but in general findings in all of our buildings and some recommendations in order that we can make sure the borough and the school district is on the same page. So we're currently working on a communication in regards to pushing it out to all faculty and staff in regards to what can be hung in classrooms, especially around the sprinkler systems, and just bringing more awareness to that concern. I'm also meeting with Dave Sabosley on Monday, and we're going to continue the conversation and working together. Ms. Schaefer is working on internal processes for regular testing, monitoring of our equipment. In December, we should have the high school assessment completed here. And at that point, we will have all of our buildings, facilities assessments, K through 12. And that is going to give us a detailed information on where our facility, we had a roof that was failing. The goal is to identify critical updates in advance and to develop a 5 or 10 year facilities plan in order to address recommendations and move those recommendations to the board. So I feel as if as a district we've been reactive. Our goal is to be proactive. So along with this pump, there's still ongoing conversations on how we can better address our facilities needs in all of our buildings. So I thought it was important to give an update. And Mr. Manzer has been working in regards to the grant that we received for the middle school, the $1.9 million. As you recall, when we went out to bid, we came in $811,000 under the bid, and they are working and preparing documents in regards to having this pump fall under the grant money. And Mr. Manzer, anything else you would like to add to that?
No, just thanking President Hartman to be able to modify our grant terms.
The project vision, timelines, key dates, the scope of the work. That would include site improvements, building interior, exterior, renderings, cost estimate, bidding schedule, which is key. And the hope is that there are 5 to move this forward, move this project, move the bidding forward. We'd like to have a recommendation on the bids back of listed alterations or deletions, depending on where those bids come in. And I'm sure Mr. Renzi is going to probably talk about this a little bit, is that now is a very good time to go out to bid for our school district. A lot of construction companies are looking for next summer's jobs. And our hope is by pushing the bids out at this time of the year that we're going to get very competitive bids and come back with very strong recommendations to the board. So tonight is nothing more than a summary of what has been presented over the last few years and next steps. And every step of the way, we have taken board feedback and made adjustments to move forward. The one slide that is presented for you tonight is the model of our school district. And what is significant about this is if you look at the bottom, those are the portrait of a graduate. And the mission of the school district empowers learners to thrive in a challenging environment that is inclusive, innovative learning experiences that foster problem solving, critical thinking, and lifelong growth. One of the conversations we've been having specifically about O Block is equity. That there's not an equitable learning environment for our students at O Block compared to Pivic. And the other challenge based on the demographic study is that the new development is moving into the O Block attendance area. So this model here, we believe, and the recommendations that will be moved forward this evening really capture our mission of the school district, what this board approved not too long ago, in which leads to the next block, which is our vision and the. So I'm really excited about the next steps in getting the bids to find out financially what is feasible and what is not feasible in regards to recommendations or options within this project.
Hard to believe that 3 years ago, in September of 2022, we started this facilities assessment process, just looking at our 2 buildings of O Block and the middle school. And throughout this process, you can see all the information that we've been able to bring forward to this board. And it includes our educational programming reviews, multiple PFM presentations related to our financial plan to be able to pay for this project, initial board walkthroughs to be able to actually see and understand what's going on in these buildings firsthand, Davis demographics, the ability to forecast our enrollments in these buildings, also including many presentations, I would say, by HDG internally and externally here. You can see the ones for the board meetings for our schematic design phases, but we've also had every 2 weeks a meeting with Hayes Design, and now Eccles Construction Management has been brought into that team, and had very detailed meetings with all of our parties involved internally. So that includes the building principals, facilities, district administration, and even Mr. Preston Hartman related to the great additional public hearing that we've had, the Act 34 hearing. related to the O-Block project, which was a formal step that we have to go through to comply with Act 34 in the PlanCom process, even though we don't qualify for that. But we were able to have another public presentation and provide any input from the community along the way, and not to mention too, specifically related to O-Block, Ms. Fight has done a tremendous job sort of rallying her building around this, involving her staff members, gathering information, even as detailed as the playground, what should that look like, an inclusive environment, and she's done a really tremendous job managing this project along with the partnership with HCG and Eccles. So I want to turn this over for the formal presentation here that HCG and Eccles has put together. First, Mr. Rob Renzi will go over the designs of the building in some detail, and then Brian Fulgerson from Eccles Construction Management will review some of the forecasting of the project estimates. Go ahead, Rob.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manzer. Good evening. I'm going to start by just explaining kind of a little bit of the phases to the slideshow or the slide that was up previously showed a lot of the high points of where we reported to the board and some of the interim meetings that were held amongst our team and with the administration. But we've been, since April is the last time really that we reported to the board, which was at the end of the design development phase. That's a very detailed phase, developing the scope of the project, but since April, we've been putting together all of the detailed construction drawings and specifications and all of the layers of details that go into the bidding documents that Dr. Walsh mentioned, you know, going out to bid pending the board moving forward. So in those drawings, you know, I think I mentioned in the information that was shared with the board that there's about 260 some drawings that are put together, about 4 volumes of specifications that go into all the different systems and materials and products that are in the building, as well as front-end legal documents and procurement type specifications. So that's really what we've been, our team along with the Eccles team have been diving into over the last 4 months since a level of just high level looking back and reminding everyone of the scope of the project. And really I'm just going to underscore kind of what has maybe evolved or that I can add a little bit more value to since April, since we reported at the end of the design development phase. So the first slide is, and these sort of marry up with the detailed, it's like a 4 or 5 page narrative of the scope of work that was provided to the board. I'm going to try to follow those in some order that's logical with that, and the bullet points here to just kind of hit the high points. But again, these are just higher level drawings just to explain the scope of work. And those items as well. I will point out and back up a bit on this scope of work summary document. What's been italicized and in bold is things that I just wanted to layer in and underscore a bit for the board. I've also mentioned in there where we've been able to identify where the bid alternates are that Dr. Walsh mentioned, where there's an alternate that may be an option to add something to the project or an option to take something out of the project on bid day for budget control. So that allows the district some flexibility on bid day. So those have tried to underscore those in the narrative as well for the board to follow. Some of those, like paving, we've looked at some areas of paving that are in good shape right now, and we can have those as bid alternates, that if those around where the addition is going, taking all the new stormwater down to the blue stormwater management pond, which is a requirement of NPDES and in your conservation district to make sure that you're handling stormwater appropriately on the site. Site lighting, we're with the expansion of the parking, adding site lighting for safety and security to make sure you have the right foot candles around the site. There is a bid alternate to replace existing pole lighting that's in place, that it can stay where it is because it is in fair condition, but if you have the money, you can replace the addition, so you have, or the additional lighting, so you have all the continuous age and level of quality of lighting on the property. Landscaping, there's a certain amount of landscaping that's required for the stormwater management area that has to be planted to to fulfill the guidelines for that, but also just around the property, just low maintenance landscaping around the building to kind of to settle that with, there are some requirements with the township that you have to do some landscaping. The new ADA playground and court areas, there's sort of a blow up in the top right corner of the image here, just highlighting some of those pieces of equipment. It's an inclusive play structure with also separate small structures that are around the property. We've done some budget analysis of that after the design development phase, also to look at peeling back some of that scope for savings as well. So that's an area that's been looked at. Again, it's still maintaining all of the design that Ms. Veit and her team wanted in the scope of that playground, but just looking at areas that we can save some money on that. And then lastly, just in the bottom left, something that was added to the project recently as an ad alternate, if this can be afforded, a new project sign. The one that's at the entrance of the property has some disrepair to it. It can be salvaged, but there is the visibility to it is hard depending on where you're coming into the property. So this new site sign, which it's basically an extension of what's there and refurbishing what's there, building from that, raises that and it also illuminates it so that it can be visible to drivers by. Moving into the interior of the building, again, these plans are, just the high-level floor plans. I've organized this sort of as previously, what you can see in the building, so the architectural elements, and then secondly, sort of the behind-the-scenes building systems that are supporting the building. One of the main things that was able to be achieved in working through this project with the addition is we're now able to reorganize the building. And we've spent a lot of time talking about, I think, over the last meetings, about how the building's organized between the grade levels, and allowing Ms. Veit to have the spaces within the building for each grade level students. Similarly, for the special education classes, providing additional ones of those so that they're a proper number and properly spaced throughout the building. In that category, as well as the dedicated sensory to de-escalation rooms, which was important to the program. Updated library, new and adjacent collaborative room. Some items you'll notice in that description there is, that obviously is to be a flexible learning space that can be used for a multitude of purposes with an operable partition between those two spaces. Again, that was scaled back in size and also looked at as an alternate for the project as well. Dedicated spaces for band and music, which was important to those. That's not currently occurring in the building. Gymnasium updates. This is an area where there's minor work to the building, but it was important that we have a new suitable flooring system in there for athletic purposes, as well as other items in the space. However, you are retaining existing lighting in the space, existing bleachers, working with a lot of existing components in that particular area. Flexible meeting and support spaces. This has been huge for Ms. Veit, I think, to have in the new plan, where there are, in jockeying around rooms and spaces in the building, we've been able to free up some smaller spaces that can be used for meeting rooms, for conference spaces that can be used for flexible type spaces throughout the day that really do not exist in the building today. Accessibility upgrades in the restrooms, those types of things, finishes throughout the building. Again, we look back closely at this after design development to make sure we were designing efficiently. Again, this is a school building, so you need durable finishes that are easy to be maintained, and so that's really what we focused on in terms of updated finishes within those spaces. As far as building assemblies, you can kind of see that is something that was added in the end of the building just for clarity. We've tried to reuse as much as we could in this building in terms of walls. Trying to use rooms where they were today, minimizing expansion and reconfiguration around those spaces. Similarly, reusing existing wood doors and frames that are in good condition where we can. Reusing wood cabinet, plastic laminate, wood-looking cabinetry in all the classrooms. And where we can't reuse it, salvage it. Again, HVAC updates of the building is a huge requirement in the building. Removing all the ventilators in the building to improve the quality of air and humidity and control in the building, new boilers, new HVAC systems in the classroom, controls. The plumbing in the building, we're using a bit of the supply plumbing and extending that and building from that for the addition. So not as terribly much of plumbing throughout the existing building, a lot of just supplementing to it. Fire protection, however, this is, huge in the building. We're going to have a sprinkler system in the building like you have in all your other buildings today, so it will be fire protected. There is a new service line that's coming into the building to support the fire protection. Updated electrical throughout the building. Again, similar to plumbing, extending and building from what's there. I think what's critical in terms of the electrical is the emergency power. You will have a 250 kilowatt generator that's been sized up a bit recently due to some of the, just looking what's on emergency power and making sure everything that you want for support of instruction, support of administrative spaces, the kitchen, the boilers, those types of things. Fire alarm system, this is a complete update as well to meet current code, so that's happening throughout the building. Building and extending from your current access control and security platforms in the building, so extending camera coverage. Similarly for data and technology infrastructure, building from what's there today and expanding that to make sure it's supplemented throughout the building, including a new clock and communication system throughout the building. Moving into the exterior part of the building, I thought it might be helpful to, we'll get into just hitting on the renderings that we have showed previously after this, but we did insert some two-dimensional kind of elevations of the building from the exterior to help describe the components of the exterior of the building. So the first slide is related to the addition, which is designed to complement the masonry that's there today on the existing building. So what you're seeing on the topmost elevation is the two-story addition. Behind that, it's framed with steel structure, so steel columns and beams, steel decking, and that is being brought down to concrete foundations and concrete floor slabs. What you're seeing on the facade there is primarily brick veneer that is complementary and similar to what's at the existing building throughout. So we were able to match that very closely. For economy, there's some accents that you will see of gray metal panel on the corner of the building and some sort of, it looks like striping, but it's more of a ribbed looking panel at the stairwell for some interest in some complementary materials, so to work with the brick on the building. There'll be a new roof on the building, a new membrane roof on the addition as well as the existing building, new aluminum storefront windows, insulated glass. You'll see later in some of the renderings, the glass is both tinted and reflective, a combination, so the lower portions of the windows are reflective and the upper portions of the windows are tinted, both for energy efficiency, to help balance the mechanical system, but also to help control visibility into the building for security purposes. And then lastly, the sloped entrance system that's happening, canopy system that's happening both at the addition and the front of the building. You kind of see that on the side of the image there as well. Next slide. Existing building, again, more of the replacement of all of the existing windows throughout the building. We're able to salvage the precast windowsills and clean those to refurbish them, so that was a good savings as well. We're going to add at the lower level, the lower elevation at the bottom of the page, you can see in the bottom left corner is a view of the main entrance of the building. There's a lower band or apron at the bottom of the building that's sort of an accent masonry unit that's helped bring some interest to the front of the building as well. Introducing some of those composite metal panels at the side of the building where the stairwell is at the north end of the building and elsewhere on the kind of the cafeteria gymnasium entrance as well. Again, the same roof system will be over the existing building throughout, and then a similar, the sloped translucent canopy system at the front of the building. And that's lower, smaller section of the canopy here in this rendering, as well as the one that was on the previous slide for the addition, are both alternates to the project as well. So they can be kept or removed based on budget. And then the last few slides are then just coming back to the renderings that we've updated since being here a few months ago. This rendering we updated to remove a planter that was in the front of the building. We just are now showing the masonry material that's below the windows. It's just an accent masonry along the front of the building. Again, the glazing here that I was pointing out earlier, you can see the lower portions of the windows are reflective glazing. So they kind of distort what you can see into the building. You can see completely out of the building. They're not reflective like, WDVE coming up the hill or anything like that, but they are reflective and still tasteful. The upper portion of the windows is tinted. That's to control glare coming into the rooms as well, but there you can still see out very nicely. The back rendering, again, just quickly updated from the last series of renderings. The playground is now being shown more accurately. You can see the canopy structure in the back of the building as well. That is an alternate that can be chosen to be kept or removed in the project. Again, very complementary to the front of the building and staying in kind with the existing brick. Moving into the interior renderings, the first one again is coming into as a student or a visitor coming to the building from the front entrance is the main sort of lobby and corridor leading to the core or the center or the heart of the building. Again, just looking to add some life and interest to these primary spaces in the building, selectively with some enhanced materials here and there. So what's been updated here in this rendering is we did show there's some curved painting on the wall. It's really just painted. It's just painting above the wainscot, which is the tile wainscot for durability. That's up to a certain height of the building. And then the colorful painting above is just painted drywall, basically. Ceiling system, again, the curved sort of bulkheads, and then the faux wood acoustical tile system. We have looked at that closely, and that's a tile system that is similar in composition to the acoustical ceiling tile that you see in many spaces like this library here. It just has
I'm going to pass these around.
Over it like a
I'm going to pass these around for the board members. Sure. It's ceiling tile. It's just brown. That's all.
It is more costly. It's more aesthetic. It has a higher acoustical value for loud spaces like this, but it does add some interest. It's just a porous acoustical material. They're similar price. I should say the white one is a similar price point to the tile you see in the building here. The wood look one is higher in cost just because it's an enhanced product for aesthetics, really.
But is in the quality of what the material is?
Correct.
Is the wood a better material when you're talking about acoustics and sound, or is it?
It does have a slightly higher acoustical value to it. It's got a perforation to it, but it's really more of an aesthetic look. It's not, people primarily put it in for aesthetics to kind of replicate wood and not pay the cost of it. And so that just provides a little raised higher portion in the lobby. A lot of the Pivot and HP have sort of a taller space lobby here. It's just kind of giving it a little more interest in the height with the bulkheads there. And it draws you into the center of the building. We're trying to kind of bring you a little more of this is sprinkled into the library. You'll see in a moment, but that's the extent of it. It's really about, I think about 1,300 square feet. It's about 2% of the ceiling in the building. Mm-hmm. If you go to the next slide, this is what it would look like if you were to take the deduct alternate and just go to the other tile you were looking at there, the white tile. White on, a tone on tone kind of ceiling. It also removes the if you remember back to the previous image, there were purple and gold discs that are acoustical clouds that are floating there for some interest in acoustical performance as well. Those would be removed in the alternate also. So that would provide some cost savings on bid day if you choose. I think it still provides a nice space too, just, you know, of height and brightness too. Similarly, kind of at that intersection, you know, with the wood ceiling and the acoustical clouds, and then if you kind of flip to the next one, you can see what that would look like without it. The wood adds just a little warmth to the spaces too. And when you flip to the library in the next rendering, again, an alternate in the space too, you can see that sort of entrance area, circulation desk area, and the columns in the center of the building, or center of the space have that free-formed, raised up wood ceiling in here as well with the acoustical clouds. And if you took the alternate for this space and remove those, you know, you'll see in the next rendering what it would look like with the white ceiling. And in the far, if you look to the back of the rendering where kind of the monitor is and the teacher is standing next to the monitor in the back, that's the vertically folding operable partition that is also an alternate between this space and the collaborative room. That if opened up, those two spaces could be used jointly. And then the final slide is just a reminder of kind of the standard level of finishes and quality in the classrooms. You know, the LVT flooring with a little freeform shape. We're trying to do a little bit of more natural feel in the buildings with the colors and the materials. Retaining the wood tone cabinetry and that type of thing. Again, plenty of light coming into the building from the exterior, and then just the standard 2x4 acoustical ceiling tile and LED lighting within the classrooms.
I have another quick question.
Yeah.
The walls match the chairs. Is that purposeful, or is that just in the image?
Yeah, I should mention, I kind of skipped over this. There are many of, over here, the vision boards or the material boards that we've been involving through the project show a color scheme that complements each grade level. So that's a bit of wayfinding in the building to help grade levels find their area of the building, but also is a use of the colors that you'll see on the building elements, but also within the furniture, like you asked about.
Got it.
So it's complementing that.
Okay, thank you.
So kind of pointing out the boards that are behind me here, if you choose to look at those, you know, after the meeting, those team to kind of review these as well, get feedback. I've edited some of these over the course of the different phases. The materials, again, are materials that we would use in schools, you know, for for the more durable finishes within the corridors and stairwells and restrooms and those types of spaces where you're seeing more abuse. And then where there's color applied, there's a minor amount in some of the tile, but it's mostly in the paint where you can repaint that right in years if you want a different color scheme. And then the board closest to the monitors here is just the exterior materials board, again showing some of the items I was mentioning related to glazing, the metal panels for the building, the brick that is matching your existing building, and then the accent kind of ground face block that's used here and there for a little bit of interest. And then, you know, some of the accent metals on the building for the canopy and things like that. So again, it's just to show everybody, touch and feel, kind of see what the materials would look like. These are what we're building our specifications around. We have to use, since it's publicly bid, we have to provide competition in bidding, so there are multiple manufacturers listed with similar quality levels, similar colors and things that they can bid most competitively in your bids to make sure that you're getting, you know, the look that you would like, but you're also trying to get economy based on competition. So that's, in essence, the summary of you know, the scope of work as it aligns with the bidding documents, and it has evolved since design development that our team has been working on. You know, we're at the finish line in terms of putting the documents together. The project specifications are all being compiled this week as well. So we're near the end on all of that. I was going to turn at this point over, unless there are any questions that I can answer anything else related to the scope.
I just want to add that you touched upon and said to Mr. Manzer is that our teachers were very involved at O-Block in regards to, what would they like to see in their classrooms and within their building. And so we do meet every 2 weeks. We meet for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And this has been a collaborative process, and it's been a back and forth in regards to working internally, moving recommendations to the board, getting feedback from the board, going back to our team. And all along the way, Hayes Design has been listening and accommodating. And if you look at the alternatives, a lot of that is the feedback from the board. And, we'll know more in October than we do right now in regards to some of the alternatives and where these bids come in. But we feel pretty good in regards to pushing this out if there are 5 to do so and moving this forward and getting a sense of what the costs are going to be associated with this. So, okay.
I'm going to turn it over to Brian Fulkerson from Eccles to review the cost estimate numbers and some of the next steps in terms of schedule.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight I'm going to go over kind of what the numbers look like for this amazing design that you just saw. Back in April, when I was here, I presented the numbers for the design development drawings, that set of drawings. Since that time, obviously, there's been an incredible amount of information and detail that's been added, which allows us to give you an even better estimate of where we expect the numbers to come in at. So, just like we did too for the design development estimate, we hired 2 different consultants, completely separate consultants, to give us estimates on the documents, so that we can compare them and see, where things are really kind of falling. So I'll present the first one here, the first estimate here. You can see things have kind of shrunk down from where we had it before. We decided to compile all of the everything into the 5 different prime contracts. You can see at the top there. Those are the numbers that we come up with for each of the primes. And then as you move down, you see that there is the hard cost subtotal. Below that is the add alternate scopes. Now that would be taking them out. The numbers that you're seeing there above that assume that those add alternates are in there. So if you were to avoid or chose to eliminate those, that brings the number down to $21,158,200 for the base bid hard cost subtotal. Then we have to add in the OSIP insurance, which it's actually slightly less than 3.1%, but we just rounded up for that. And then escalation, if you compare this to the estimate that we did back in April, we brought the escalation quite a bit down just because we're a lot closer to the bid and knowing kind of where numbers are going to be at. So we brought that down considerably, which when you add everything, and then the only other thing that you have to add back in is the soft costs, which we're estimating right now at about 24%. That seems to be where most projects are coming in at right now. So you see the total project budget for this estimate at $27,967,843. And you can see the number below that, which is the Act 34 total project cost. That was what we had gone through with the Act 34. And so, as you can see here, our estimate right now is actually under budget. But then you still have the deduct alternates. You can see below that. There's about $675,000 there if you chose to select some of those. And then there's also some grant money available, I think, for kitchen equipment. So that could help out as well. So that's the first estimate. And so you can see the numbers there. Again, $27,967,000 if you want to go to the next slide. So just for comparison, we're at $28,012,000 $24,328, which is within $56,000 of the other estimate. I mean, and these are two completely separate firms that are estimating this project, which is great. It tells us one thing in particular, which is you have a really good set of drawings and specifications right now, because they're looking at the same thing, coming up with the same numbers. So it's reassuring when you get numbers this close. But as you can see, the numbers were still the same up top. As you can see, gone through the 5 primes. And as you go back down through there, like we said, we took we had the add alternates in, took them back out. But then, yeah, like I said, you can see the total budget project there of $28,024,328. And again, these numbers are very close to actually what we had figured back in the design development. Obviously, we have more information now, so we feel really good about these numbers. They're should be pretty accurate. But honestly, it's still going to be all about that bid day, and I think like was spoken earlier that this is a good time to bid things right now. We have a ton of contractors calling us all the time asking for projects, and we know for sure there's going to be a bunch of people looking at this one. So should be a good bid, hopefully, and hopefully we get the numbers that we need and we can give you everything that you need.
Just one point of clarification, the $500,000 for the cafeteria fund, so that is a contribution that the cafeteria fund that we have would be able to make towards this project. So that would not be bond money. It would sort of reduce the overall budget out of the bond money for this project. But that amount, the equipment and including the furniture that would be dedicated, and that is of allowable costs out of the cafeteria fund. And we do have excess funds within that cafeteria fund that the state has been wanting us to spend down for some time now, so this is a good opportunity to utilize those funds.
Any questions on the estimates? Okay, move on to the next slide. So as you see here, we put together the bidding schedule, which is pretty critical. So coming up this Thursday, project will be released for bidding. As Rob said, they're putting together everything right now, so that'll be going to the printers on Thursday. Wednesday, September 17th, will be a virtual contractor pre-bid meeting where we'll be meeting with contractors that are interested in the project, answer questions, and hopefully help them with get their estimates going. Contractor building access, we're going to give the contractors a chance to actually walk through the building. This is a day when school is out, so we thought that would work really well. That's on Friday, September 26th, and then the bids will be due on Tuesday, October 7th at 1 p.m. or 10th. We can make a bid award scenario for the board to review. And again, if everything goes well, school board meeting to present the bids would be Tuesday, October 14th, and then to award would be the 28th.
Thank you. I just want to appreciate all the work that has gone into this. And I said earlier that the hope is that if there's 5 to move this forward this evening, that we can have them start this process, that we can move, because it is a good time. You heard them say contractors are hungry for work. That could be to our advantage. I started off by talking about equity between our elementary buildings. I talked about our mission, but I was remiss if I wouldn't bring up the big picture here also, is that, and some of you heard me say this, that even when I was a student here, there was multiple reconfigurations, going to different buildings, going to a building for 1 year, then over to another building. We no longer have some of those options of Regency or Old Holiday Park. Those buildings were sold off or demolished. This plan that is being presented to you in regards to the addition at O Block Elementary, ability to this community in regards to the configuration and how our students will matriculate through our system for, I believe, 15, 20 years. So I do believe for our community, it is a step in the right direction. Something I heard loud and clear when I came back to this district was parents and students were tired of being moved from building to building to building. This will bring stability to our community and something that we can be proud of in an environment that we have 2 elementary buildings that are equitable and meet the needs of our students. So I really appreciate all the work and time and effort, not only that you two have put in, but our internal team. As you heard, we meet weekly, and there's meetings in the building weekly, bi-weekly, but meetings in the building that occur. This has been an all hands on deck, and I'm truly proud that our teachers had a voice in regards to helping give input into what this space was going to look like. So thank you all. Dr. Anderson.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think for all intent and purposes, it matters for us to have 5 to move this forward, and I think we heard that reiterated over and over again. So any questions or concerns? And do we have 5 to move it forward? 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thank you. And then can we talk about letter C?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So there's going to be recommendations that we will continue to move forward. About 2 weeks ago at the middle school, as they were working, and there needs to be a change order in regards to the water that is going to that building. During our internal conversations, it came up that we're going to have to bring in some engineering and get some work done. And if it is under 23,800, I have the authority to move it forward. But if it's over that, I need the board authority. After we realized it was going to be more than that, and we're still waiting on what that number may be, even if it's slightly over, as soon as the contractors heard that, they picked up their equipment and they left. When we're moving into this project, it is not unusual, because I reached out to neighboring school districts, specifically Gateway was one of the districts I talked to, that along the way there's going to be change orders. And the one thing that we would not want to see is a delay in our timeline, because our timeline is set up that all the transitions are going to occur over the summer, and we want to minimize any transitions, and there'll be some, but few, that may need to occur during the course of the academic school year. And what I've found is it is a practice of raising that number to give the superintendent authority to keep the project moving forward. Now, what that means is, obviously, I'm going to over-communicate that to all of the board members. We are talking about our approach on how to keep you all informed. But basically, this is to give me the authority to keep the project on time and moving forward and keeping the board informed along the way. There are other recommendations as we move closer to this project that we will move forward. And this is to make sure that all the trains are running on time, and we don't have contractors packing up and leaving, waiting for the next voting meeting, or waiting for 5 people online to move something forward. So that was the purpose. There's been conversation with Mr. Dice in regards to language that you've used in other places. I don't know if there's anything else you would like to add to this.
I think you summed it up.
I can say that in a lot of districts, this is almost just a formality. They just kind of give the authorization explicitly, not even without board approval. I think this district is just going above and beyond to make sure everyone's aware of the way this would work, which is it's up to $50,000, and it will appear in the bill list, which meets all of the school code bidding requirements. So it's pretty perfunctory. I can answer any legal questions. Thank you.
Any questions? Any concerns with the 50,000 for the change orders? Okay, do we have 5 to move that forward? Quiet bunch tonight. Wonderful. Well, again, HDG and Eccles, thank you so much for your time. And I encourage board members, when we finish here in a few minutes, to take a look at those boards, because I know we've all been curious about materials. And as women, sometimes like to see them up close, so I'll be over there. Okay, moving on, last, Student Services, Mrs. Stepnick, Lead Board Liaison. Are you with us, Ms. Stepnick? Oh, there we
I
go.
apologize, I had to unmute and go back to my thing and my agenda at the same time.
That's okay.
We have item A, annual renewals for this current school year, Title I, school services agreements. Anybody have any questions? A lot of it is to all of our local school districts, or, sorry, our districts. Anybody have any questions about that? And then the second is the Western Pennsylvania School for the Blind. And that, again, is another renewal. Anybody have any questions? We have 5 moving forward.
We do. Thank you, Mrs. Stepnick. Okay. Upcoming public meetings. We have an action meeting Tuesday, September 23rd, 2025 at 7 o'clock here in the library. Do we have a motion to adjourn? We have a motion and a second by Ms. Purcell. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Any abstaining? Awesome. Thank you. Have a great night.